slight variations in the human form itself, but all nonetheless of the same spiritual type of energy that can strive for perfection and evolve to perfection within creation. At the moment that they know of, there are over 7,800,000,000 known planets in our galaxy with human life on them. So that original 44 million that evolved on its own has greatly expanded. Of course, that's mostly because the 44 million evolved, became technically advanced, and then went out, moved out into the galaxy, and seeded other planets also. So here we are, we're moving along, you and I, on our own little planet, not really aware factually of what's going on out in the universe, and now we're finding out that we're kind of on the late freight, that the universe has been going on for a long time, the galaxy's quite old, and before our little civilization came along, there literally have been billions of other civilizations just in our galaxy that are far older than we are. So we have to look forward to quite a family of man out there to learn, meet, and understand from. Okay, before we go a little farther, a few more explanations on the creation itself and how it actually evolves, in other words, the continued logic of the creation, and then we'll get more into the development of our human life forms. Okay, I mentioned earlier that our universe is divided into 7 different belts, or 7 different layers of kinds of energy. And then, intricately enough, each one of those different layers of the creation itself are subdivided into different levels of knowledge and understanding also. So the creation actually is a great big, huge thought of knowledge. It's a large idea that once was small and is evolving into a very large area. At least we think of it as large. But on the scale of some other microcosm, it's probably infinitely small. What happens to our creation? Well, let me give you a few more ideas about the creation of ourselves, and then we will kind of pay a little bit more attention to our own human development. I said originally that once our creation was established, that the outer belt of it, if we could, for instance, take our creation, and we suddenly became the incredible enlarged person ourselves and grew much larger than the universe so we could see the thing, we would look at our creation and see that it is egg-shaped, that it has followed the form of the original idea of creation, which was an egg-formed spiral, and as it is bursted into a large area and the Sohar has expanded it, as all of this has happened, it has maintained the general shape. So let's say our creation, as we're looking at it, looks like a big egg. Now let's take a knife and let's slice that egg right in half. And we'll take the top off and just set it aside. And as we look down now at the inside of the creation we're looking at, and again, creation now and universe are the same thing at this point, what we see is that it looks like kind of like a tree trunk with different rings in it. And that's these belts that I'm talking about. The outer edge is called the push belt. And that's because it pushes against the other universes. It not only keeps other energies and coarse matter from coming into ours, but it also serves the purpose of keeping our energies from going out and getting involved with other universes. So it's like a separator. It's like a skin on an egg, if you want to call it that. The first layer there is called the creation belt. And this is just a name that is given to it by the Pleiadians as they explained it to Billy. The main purpose, apparently, of the creational belt, which is a very highly evolved form of energy, it creates what's called the changing belt, which is the second belt in. Now, the functions of the changing belt, as I understand it, frankly, are to serve in the evolution of the material belt, which is next. And it is this material belt that you're looking at here, which is where all of the planets are. That is the only belt of the creation that has coarse matter in it. Coarse matter, again, being anything that is solid. There's also a 4th, 3rd, 2nd belts, which are strictly fine matter belts, or creational or spiritual energy, all meaning the same thing. And then, of course, the central Sohar of the universe, sometimes called the central sun, and that is the origin, then, of the creational embodied idea has grown into that. So that's what our universe actually looks like when you actually look at it. As a matter of fact, one of the scientific secrets for figuring out space travel is right here on this diagram. We live in a material belt where there is time. Only the material belt has the time energy in it. And think of time as an energy. It's a wave of energy that moves in pulses through our material belt in this spiral formation. That's why we have rotation, movement, animation of matter in the material belt that does not exist in the other belts. Well, the Pleiadians say one of the first forms of figuring out how to move in time is how to take energy, coarse matter, which can only exist in this material belt, move it out of the material belt into the changing belt. In the changing belt, there are no impulses of time. There is no coarse matter. That's one reason is coarse matter doesn't exist there. So there's a way, apparently, of taking a flying device, moving it out of the material belt, moving it into the changing belt. It's no longer in a solid material form. It's been converted to some other form of matter which can exist in the changing belt, but now it's outside of time. It's no longer, you might say, in touch with the time pulses, so it can move in time. And once the knowledge is understood of how the pulses of time work, you can go into the changing belt, move your flying device, however your programming is, then re-enter the material belt at some other place and kind of jump back onto the time wave impulse as it's moving through this spiral shape through creation, and you're in a different time. So that's one way of actually doing it. Okay, a little more things about a little more information about our own creation here. As our creation continues to evolve, there will be no more material belts. It is only this one, because the creation, this is how it evolves. Now, interestingly enough, I talked earlier about that there are 7 levels. There's a little bit more to this. As the creation itself continues to evolve, it is now expanding and sending energies all out, all through itself, which is called the universe. It will go through stages of development, and those development stages are the process of evolving fine matter into coarse matter, which facilitates the evolution of the creation itself. You see, as creation gets an idea for a plant, an animal, or a human, that plant, animal, or human then, in its coarse matter state, in its material form, itself gathers information, learning, and wisdom. And it is that learning, experience, and wisdom which contributes to the evolution then of the creation. Because just like the creation, and being a small part of the creation, it then is thinking. And what's thinking? Thinking is the creation of an idea, isn't it? And what's an idea? An idea is the formation of logic. What is matter? If you take logic and concentrate it, at a certain point it becomes matter. Okay, so all of us as physical beings, the animals, the plants, everything that is existing because of the idea that the fine matter world had to create it, is now evolving on and contributing more ideas, more energy to the spiritual fuel, you might want to call it, or evolution of the creation itself. So we're all little small parts of the creation. Everything is. A tree, a squirrel, an animal, a planet, a moon, everything is. They are all part of the natural, intelligent, logic evolution of the creation itself. Hence, you can start to see what responsibility that we have as little minute creatures and spirit forms of